you change your frequency or you change, say, the etiquette of your company, the nature of your company, those bad eggs that want to have a bad day, that want to pull everything down, they start to disappear because you're not into it. You're not cooking that omelet, so to speak. Leaders are challenged to keep productivity high because, the bottom line has to be met at some level. But, it's really a archaic way of considering how to achieve that bottom line. And I think the pandemic is allowing us to see that, trying to achieve the bottom line, no matter come hell or high water, or literally, sacrificing ourselves. It's like, I have to stay all day long late at the office. I have to forego my weekends. I have to forego, my family. I have to do all those things that we're forced to do to meet the bottom line. Over time, what's happened in the pandemic is just, it's just it's not a random event. Whether you believe in the conspiracy theories or not, that's one thing. But on the flip side, outside of that conspiracy theory, we're getting to the point that we're getting burned out. Outside of the pandemic, we've gotten to the point that the masses have gotten burned out. Right? Not just bosses, because there's a lot of CEOs, and they're comparing the two. It's like, well, do I keep growing and expanding my business, or do I literally, fall back and try to enjoy myself? And then, but both ways, you can't have any of those ways, because if you're a CEO level, or if you're, even a manager or any, C-suite type executive, you have that drive, you need that thrive, you need to go do something. So it's like now you're stuck in a, between a rock and a hard place, because then what do? You don't want to go back to work because you're getting burned out, but then you don't want to just sit at home and watch TV because that's not you either, right? I think in history, but today's society is showing it even more and more that, we're losing ourselves to create, say, a better economy, a better society. But when societies start to lose themselves or sacrifice themselves for, the good of, say, mankind, or the good to have a better product out there, or whatever, it never works out, because you're sacrificing. The same thing. Not to get off into a tangent, but wars. We sacrifice our own freedom, right? Our own liberties, our own children, and then go kill off some other people's kids and so on like that for our freedom. It doesn't really work out, because it binds us. It really starts to destroy us. The same thing with competition. That's why I bring wars in. By the way, in say this business talk, because most people think that it's a war out there. As some big name, motivational speaker goes out there, says, hey, you got to be a gladiator. Every day you got to go win this fight, and this fight. It gets tiring, because it's like, gosh, one day I don't want to fight. How often do we got to get, how often do we got to get up and put our armor on and, go in the office and, argue with our competitors, argue with whatever, or the manufacturing process, or whatever it is, just to get stuff done. What if we had a frequency that was enlivening? And you might go, that's too far-fetched. It's not, because I've helped a lot of companies turn around where it's really fun to go into work. The CEO loves going into work. He loves having that vibrancy. The employees, the top level management, loves to come back into work, and because they get together. And I'll give you the reason why, and it's very, very different than what most people think. The employees are turning around now, and this is a specific company that I'm talking about. They got rid of those, say, problem employees or problem managers that were just bad eggs. Right? They're just dragging the whole team down, which is a great way to get rid of bad eggs, rather than forcing. You change your frequency, or you change, say, the etiquette of your company, the nature of your company. Those bad eggs that want to have a bad day, that want to pull everything down, they start to disappear, because you're not into it. You're not cooking that omelet, so to speak. It's just not you anymore. And they leave. And then these people have attracted, really, really awesome employees that want to be there. Now, they don't want to be there just because it's another paycheck. That's another key in this new business paradigm is people aren't just looking for another paycheck. People aren't just looking for, to slave away a certain number of hours to, get some money so they can go be themselves. So if you think about that system, and this is what they've done, they've slaved away a certain number of hours, they've sacrificed to get, say, certain money, right? So they can go out and then be themselves, right? Or retire and then be themselves. So what's the key component? Everybody wants to be themselves. If you can mix the two together, and that's what becoming exponentially intelligent does, or if you're a company that's running exponential intelligence, what happens is that you're helping employees, you're helping managers, you're helping the owner, or if you are the owner, you're helping yourself find who you are at a very, very deep level. I'm talking very, very deep level. It's almost like a spiritual experience going into work, because that's what it, and that's why so many people get drawn into, say, starting a company, because it is one of the best spiritual experiences. But most people, they because it allows them to find themselves. But again, most people start to lose themselves, and then they start to destroy themselves and others. So in this scenario, it becomes a very highly spiritual experience, because one, when you're pushing yourself to the limit in the proper way, what I mean by that is that it's not a sacrifice. It's that you're pushing yourself to get stronger, to get better. It's like going to the gym. You're going to the gym to improve yourself, to get stronger, to look better, right? So this is about, a spiritual workout, business-wise. You're going in there, you're seeing the weaknesses that you're seeing the weaknesses that you have, or your employees or your companies have, and then looking at it, and it's like, hey, how can I turn that into strengths? Right? So when you do that from a top-down model, the CEO, the managers, the employees, all your employees go, wow, it's a wonderful place to work. It's a really wonderful place to work, because they want to come into work because you've done one thing for them. You've allowed them to come in and be who they are at their top level. So here are the 3 frequencies that you can adopt into your company right away to get this, to get not only, the bottom line met, but then to have happy, healthy employees, including healthy, happy CEOs, right? Because that's the most important. One, the CEO has to be, say, happy and healthy. Otherwise, it's a top-down model. If the CEO or the top level, managers are not at their best, right? They don't have, say, that very deep spiritual level being, okay? That deeper connection, which helps, obviously, your health, your intimacy, and all that, which gives you healthier, happier employees and CEOs, which gives you a healthy, happier company. So how do you get that? Number one is what I call spatial referencing. Spatial referencing for the beginners is literally about noticing your 5 senses. It's about becoming present. It's the 1, 2, 3 steps on becoming present. It's not mindfulness, by the way, because mindfulness doesn't really work. Okay? But you will become mindful, you will become present. And all you have to do is very simple. Take a look at, say, your visual senses. Take a look at a few objects around you. What's in front of you? Like, say this couch is in front of me, and it's all you have to say is like, oh, that couch is about X distance away from me. You don't have to know the exact measurement on how far it is. It's like, that couch is over here, my chest is over here. The light switch is over there, my right ear is over here, and just start paying attention to where you render yourself, where you create yourself in space-time, because it starts to make sense in what reality that you render yourself in. So you can use that as in sounds as well. The sound is coming over there, or somebody's speaking over there in that other room. My left ear is over here. You can use that from smells. The smell is coming from the kitchen. I'm over here. So it's always the object first, and then a body part. Okay. Now, you might think that sounds really crazy, but individuals, and this is how powerful it is, those individuals who've been on, say, severe antidepressants, even suicidal, they try spatial referencing, they can leave, they can disconnect from, say, their antidepressant. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying, get off your meds or anything like that, but it helps you so grandly that you can literally feel happy where you are. That's the number one key, is you figure out where you are in space-time. It sounds kind of woo-woo. It sounds kind of matrixy, maybe, not necessarily woo-woo, but it does sound kind of matrixy. But it is all about, say, we are multidimensional beings. It allows you to become, or allows you to understand, say, which dimension that you are rendering yourself. So spatial referencing is highly important for you, okay? The second thing that I like to talk about is goal setting. Okay? Now, most individuals, most leaders, most everything that you hear out there on goal setting, I'm not saying it's wrong, but you'll find these are the outtakes, or these are, say, the symptoms on normal goal setting. And this is where people go, well, the journey was more exciting than reaching the goal, right? You hear that all the time. Well, why is that? Most goal setting forces you to go from point A to point B. Basically, what you're doing is you're losing yourself. You're losing yourself in points of time. You're losing yourself for that moment. And whenever you lose yourself, you never feel good about achieving whatever that you've achieved, no matter how good it is. And if you don't believe me, look at those entertainers, or those, those individuals who get wealthy overnight, and then they destroy themselves. That's why, because they lost themselves, right? The person that they still were is still there, some level, but they've just lost themselves over here, which makes them feel worse. So how do you circumvent that? So this is about inner expansion. So you're in point A, okay? And listen to the possibilities. You're in point A. You not only, say, extend out to point B linearly, you expand out spherically to point B. Okay? Now, I show you how to do that in some of the business courses that I teach. But when you're expanding out, say, spherically to point B, you not only cover point B, but then all the possibilities around. So in most cases, you break out of the limiting, say, factor that's in your mind, because where you thought of what point B should be is literally all the possibilities that was available to you in your mind. If that makes sense for you, right? You never thought about all the possibilities that were outside of your, say, outside of your variables that you never considered before. So it's a really powerful opportunity to reset, or if you want to goal set, do it exponentially intelligent. The third way is that company goals and personal needs have to merge together. Okay? Otherwise, it becomes a sacrifice. Your company becomes a sacrifice. Your success in your company becomes a sacrifice. Employees start to get ill. So when you start to, say, put the needs, or bring the needs, mix them in with the company goals, and you might go, that's impossible. You can't do that. No, it isn't impossible. The key is that you help people find who they are at a deeper level while helping you reach their company goals. Okay, so this is very different than nurturing them. I'm talking inward experiences of fulfillment. You are trying to, say, fulfill your inner need, your inner desires of who you are as a human. Now, if you can put that, and you can easily with XI, if you can fulfill or help people fulfill their inner needs of being human while they're reaching their goals. And by the way, if you're in a business situation, you can do that more effortlessly than in any other situation, by the way. That's why I say business is so intriguing. So those three things: one, spatial referencing, helping you understand where you're referencing or where you're rendering yourself here in space-time. Two, spherical goal setting rather than linear goal setting. And then three, helping you define who you are, helping you understand who your basic elements, your human needs are as you grow the company needs. Now, if you can combine those two, or these three elements within your structure, and that's what XI does, you will have an amazing company. If you're a high-level individual, a CEO, either starting out a new company or, a company, or, you're the leader of a company that has, tens and hundreds of thousands of employees, you can contact customers at masajati.com. That's customers with an S at masajati.com. And just say, hey, you're interested in a discovery session, and then we'll see if we are a good fit to work with each other.